process and technology. So let me spend a little more time on what are the trends which associated with those capabilities that I'm seeing. Right. So the first one out there is the growing need for localization and integration. Now, if in the past, the typical model is you take a product which is manufactured in the US for the US market, and then you try and roll it out in the rest of the world. It works most of the times, but increasingly there are huge challenges, right? Whether it is the new age internet companies or it's the manufacturing companies, it's the same problem, right? If you take the internet companies, if something is successful in the US market, there is no guarantee it's going to work in Korea or India or China. So you have to do a lot of research and understanding what the market needs. Same is true for a manufacturing product which gets developed in the US. You got to do a lot of studies, you got to integrate it, and you got to localize it. Today, most of the products which are manufactured and done in India, localization factor is pretty low, right? You just get the parts, and you can see it in Dreamliner in some ways. But the trend is towards localization. If you can manufacture a car which has 80% of its products from locally, then you are in a better position to be very successful in that business. So that's the trend from a localization perspective for manufacturing companies. The second one, I heard somebody, we were talking about business intelligence, and I think that becomes an important aspect for businesses, especially when it comes to decision making. While there are lots of data out there, especially in a large manufacturing company, you get source data from ERP system, financial systems, supplier. So these have to be managed in such a fashion the general managers who are running businesses are able to make decisions. So BI is an important aspect. I think today we touched the tip of the iceberg. We do reporting. So we don't do, to a great extent what I'm saying is relevant to what we do within Eden as well. So there's a huge opportunity from that perspective to create stuff which is meaningful to the businesses. The third bullet is around mobility, right? The future shop floors are going to see increasing usage of smart devices, which I think is definitely going to happen. These devices will definitely penetrate the marketing and other areas, which is quite natural. But it will also enter the shop floor, and an opportunity for for example, a plant manager who is not in the shop floor to know how are things happening in the shop floor, for him to be able to be in touch, right? So there's a huge opportunity there. Rapidly changing information flows, as these devices penetrate, the kind of information flows which we will see will be very different. Today, in the past, typically most of these devices which consume are, where they are, right? You can find them, you know what to do, how to protect them, how to leverage them. But with the proliferation of these smart devices, they're going to be all over the place, right? So the way the information flows from those devices into your network and get things done and then flows out. So those information flows are going to be pretty complex. And there is a great deal of opportunity there in that space as well to innovate. Obviously, the intellectual property and security, I touched on it. The new markets we are entering creates huge opportunity to build capabilities which are relevant in that space. The last bullet is around the processes. Now, the example I can give in this case is you probably heard of CRM software like SEAP and stuff like that. So when you go and roll these things out, most of the times there are impact on the business process, right? It's just not, I would say, for lack of a better word, useful out of the box. you have to do a lot of things. You got to change the way the business operates sometimes, or you got to start customizing these things. So it's a call you got to make between how much you want to customize versus how much you want to change the business process. So those are things we will see increasingly, and as the devices penetrate, as you move information which is only in the offices to outside. So all this leads to an opportunity to continuously work on how you harmonize these processes across. So if you are selling a product in the US, the business process is different. If you're selling a process in China, it is different. The sales incentives are different. So all these things make it very complicated and an opportunity for coming up with solutions which are more meaningful. So what can we do to help the ecosystem? So let me, I think this may be what all of us are in some ways trying to see how we can help out. So my take is there's an opportunity to go beyond the typical customer-supplier relationship, right? Typically when we meet, we talk, what's the opportunity out there? But I think we got to make it a little more integral and longer term in any kind of interactions which we have, so that you understand what the needs are from both sides and partner for a long term. So I'll give some examples, but let me touch on this bullet before I talk about an example which I think will also touch upon what Shri had asked before. So co-create to help drive innovation. I think this is very important, especially in an emerging market, emerging environment which we are in. It's important that we partner as well as co-create solutions. Now, as an example, I can talk about one of the things Eaton's is involved in. I think you're all familiar with ACMA and SEAP, right? So these are industry body. ACMA is the Component Manufacturers Association for automobiles, and then SEAM is the industry body which helps bring together the manufacturers. So you're probably aware of the number of transactions which happen between manufacturers and suppliers, right? Typically, the technology which gets used to manage it is EDI, right? Now, one of the things which is out there is the opportunity to improve this entire ecosystem of how manufacturers and suppliers interact. So what's taking place right now is the ACMA, SEAM, suppliers and companies are getting together to come up with a solution, right? To define, which they have already done, a protocol by which the suppliers interact with what is called as a gateway or a hub, which can reside in the cloud, right? On the other side is the manufacturers. Manufacturers are not going to change as much. They want information to come in a certain way. But the suppliers can agree to a format or specifications. So that's what this group together has achieved. It has suppliers, it has manufacturers, it has other people who are in the ecosystem getting together in a room over a period of time, coming up with a solution which is relevant to everybody, right? So now it is an opportunity for suppliers to go and set this up as a service and get paid on the transactions which go through that system, through that gateway. So that's the kind of opportunity which we need to look at. I mean, typical customer-supplier relationship exists, but this is definitely an opportunity. We've seen it. I mean, Eaton is participating in that. We are contributing to that definition, to that process of bringing in suppliers, getting their inputs, getting the manufacturer's input. So that there are numerous opportunities like that where the ecosystem can partner. So I touched upon briefly around emerging markets and the localization challenges. When I say enterprise software vendors, the thing which I'm seeing in a manufacturing space is it is difficult for a small company. I'm being very candid and frank here, right? It is very difficult for small companies to penetrate. Just the way they're set up, just the DNA of these large manufacturing companies. They would go and sign up with the top 10 enterprise vendor very easily for various reasons. the way I feel to break that constraint in some ways is to partner with these enterprise guys, right? So they, as much as they have in terms of size and scale, it is still there are opportunities for them to completely understand the local needs of companies and come up with solutions which are relevant. So that's where the mid-sized to small companies can partner with these enterprise software and bring solutions to the marketplace. Because the large companies will not easily, sign up with something with a small player for various reasons, right? So that whole thing of partnership with the enterprise software vendor becomes very important and relevant. Now, let me do the last two bullets around focus on the strategic elements of the business and establish forums to share industry best practices. I mean, it's a given that we got to be thinking long term, not only what's needed for this year, but what's needed in the few years to come. The last bullet is essentially around. It's maybe I've just been 2 years in Pune. I'm not very familiar, but there is definitely an opportunity for forums to interact. I know in the manufacturing space, if you just take the PLM, PDM, there's a huge opportunity for user groups, which comprises of people from all these companies, product companies, manufacturing companies, everybody to come together and help each other out with best practices. I may be ignorant, but I see that kind of an ecosystem much more active in other cities like Bangalore, but I may be wrong, but I think that is a very good thing to promote and keep it active. Right? So that's the gist of the presentation I wanted to cover, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Eden and answer questions after that. Yeah. So Eden is a power management company. We're more than 100 years old. Last year we celebrated 100 years. Started by J.O. Eden in 1911. Our headquarters is Cleveland, Ohio. As I mentioned, we have regional headquarters in Shanghai, China, March in Switzerland, and Sao Paulo in Brazil. We have innovation centers, R&D centers in US, the Czech Republic, China, and India. Customers in more than 150 countries. 2011 sales of 16 billion, and 55% of that is outside the US. And our goal is to achieve about 22% from emerging markets right, by 2015. And we have about approximately 72,000 employees, and our chairman and CEO is Alexander Cutler. So Eaton is a power management company that provides energy efficient solutions in the electrical, mechanical, and the fluid applications. So you can see the solutions which go pretty diverse. Solutions go into cities and buildings, industrial machinery, IT, data centers. We have lots of power quality, power distribution equipment and solutions. Aerospace, we supply fuel conveyance systems to the aircrafts, we supply to Dreamliner. Infrastructure, construction industry essentially, and then energy and utilities. So the Eden is in this space to develop products and services reliable, efficient, and safely. Basically sustainable solutions. Now, just to give you a flavor of what we see are important things for our customers, right? I can read a couple of them out. Controlling a plane that is as big as a football field, or perform surgery in the middle of a blackout. So these are sorts of things which are very important to our customers, and we work with them to make it happen. Eden's a power management company, that's our advantage. These bullets talk about the way we develop energy efficient solutions, which is either for any of the verticals which I talked about. The only way to survive we see is sustainability, to make sustainable solutions for the long term, fuel efficient solutions, whether it's in the automobile space or in the aircraft, to reduce fuel consumption. So primarily power management is our core theme, and we see that as